What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Nick and this is my YouTube channel Code Stash, where I am documenting my adventure of developing my very first indie game solo in 12 months using the Unity game dev engine. So in this week's video, I've had a really busy week in my professional life. I was away at a conference for post-secondary students who are soon going to be entering the IT industry. So I gave a presentation, met with a lot of students, networked a bit. It was a great opportunity to get out and see what kind of talent is coming up in the industry in my local area. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Going to go over what I actually did on the game this week. It was more so doing research than doing any actual coding, but I'll explain to you what that's all about here soon. And we'll talk about what I've actually been playing this week. I've actually played some games this week, which is a bit rare for me these days, but I'll let you guys know what those are. And we'll also get into some of the organization tools I alluded to in last week's video but didn't get to show you, and we'll check that stuff out this week. So all right, let's go. Yeah, so I've actually been playing some games this week. I'm a huge RPG fan, I always have been, and I saw that Baldurs Gate, the enhanced edition, was on sale on Steam for like 10 bucks. It's a game I never played way back in the day, and I enjoy the isometric RPG style, so I thought, yeah, why not, I'll dive into that, pick it up, check it out. Even if I don't play it for too long, it was more so just to I had the experience of seeing what it was all about and how it's influenced more modern games in the genre, like Dragon Age or Pillars of Eternity, Divinity, Original Sin. Yeah, so I've been having fun checking this out. It's a bit rough for me at this point. The gameplay is pretty old school. Graphics are pretty rough, but I do like the style. It's simple. The stories are really good so far. And playing the game takes me back to those days when I remember seeing my brother play these types of games back when we were a kid. And I'd always check it out and be like, I have no idea what the appeal of this is. But yeah, as I got older, I started to realize more and more he was onto something with the types of games he was playing, like Baldur's Gate, Diablo 2. Yeah, so it's pretty cool to check this out and sort of experience what I missed out on back then. The other game I've been playing this week is pretty interesting. It's Warcraft 3 Reforged. This is one that wasn't really on my radar over the past little while, but I saw that it was being released this week and I just kind of had that nostalgia itch. I was a big fan of the original release and its expansion, Frozen Throne, back in the day. My high school days, played a lot of it with friends. I really enjoyed the online play, and the campaign was really good too. I really enjoyed the story, and the story is so integral to the story of World of Warcraft, and Warcraft 3 led directly into that game. World of Warcraft, obviously, of course, is this just massive cultural moment in gaming for me and a lot of my friends. So it's really cool to go back and revisit this updated version of Warcraft 3 and go back to some of those nostalgia glory days of playing the game. The game itself is, unfortunately, it's a little rough. The performance of the game is fairly poor. I have a pretty beefy PC rig, and I'm surprised that I can't run the game in full settings in 4K when I can run more modern games in full settings in 4K. So there's definitely some optimization that needs to happen for this game, and I hope it gets patched in. Performance isn't the worst problem, however. There's just a ton of features lacking in this game at launch. I really can't believe that they launched it in this state, especially concerning the multiplayer components. We're more used to playing StarCraft 2 when it has the full MMR system, ladder system, matchmaking, all of that stuff, and none of that stuff is in Warcraft 3 Reforged right now. So people who are playing the original Warcraft 3, they've now lost a bunch of features as well with this new release, so it's kind of confusing. Of course they're going to patch this stuff in down the road, but I really can't believe they let it out the door in this kind of shape. So yeah, it's surprising, but I am enjoying playing through the campaign. I haven't dove too much into the competitive multiplayer. Don't really have a lot of time to go too crazy in that, but I'll probably check it out soon. But yeah, I'm having fun with the campaign, but yeah, we'll see. This one's interesting. We'll see how it shakes out. As I've alluded to in some of my previous videos, I use some different organizational tools to keep my projects on track. I use these both in my professional and personal life on side projects. My number one tool for this is a tool called Trello. So I'll give you guys a run through of what that is. So to give you guys an idea of the tools I'm using to organize this project, I wanted to show you a tool called Trello. So Trello basically is a project organization tool that allows you to create boards. You can think of a board as similar to a blank wall in your home, for example. And on that board, you can create different lists. And lists allow you to add cards to them. So you can think of a card as, say, equivalent to a post-it note that you're going to stick on your wall. So I really like this tool because it allows you to organize your project, to break things down. You can see that I've broken all of my lists down into different areas of my game. So I have a list for sound items I have to do, user interface things I have to build, enemies that I'm planning on designing, different game systems, art assets I have to create, different game modes I'm thinking about implementing. I have a column for bugs, so anytime I find a defect in the game, that's where I create a new card, add it there so I can keep track of it and eventually fix it. I also have a list for my YouTube channel. So this is anytime I get an idea for a new video, this is where I'd add a new card. So new video, there we go. I can open it up and I can just start adding some new details to the card. This is going to be my next video. And we can add checklist items to this. So film the video, record audio, all things like that. And you can check them off as you go. But we'll delete that card because we don't need it. I have a doing list. So this is what I move any card that I'm actually working on. I'll drag it over into my doing list and I'll stick my head on it, as you can see. So right now I'm currently recording this video and I'm also researching proper Unity architecture. So what that is about is that in order to get my prototype to the state that it's at right now, I didn't follow best practices for building it. It was more just experimenting, making sure that I could actually accomplish and build some of the core systems that I needed to prove out to myself that, yeah, I could actually build the game I wanted to build. So now I have to learn how to properly build it and go back and fix all the mistakes that I made, because there were plenty in the prototype. And as I complete cards, I bring them over into the done column. It just gives me a good visual history of everything that's complete on the project so far. And overall, Trello allows you to get an idea of, the total scope of your project, as well as what you have left to do and how quickly you're completing things. So it's a really great tool. I use it professionally at work and also for any of my side projects at home. So getting into what I've actually done on the game this week, it's best for me to first give you some background on the current state of the game. So when I started learning Unity is when I started to build this project. So as development went along, I needed to be able to prove out all the different components of the game that I could actually build them and get them working. So things like camera system, user interface, graphical effects, player movement, all kinds of things like that. So I was learning each of those, how to do each of those individual pieces as I went. And I was never thinking of my game as this whole single unit. I was thinking of it more so as these individual little pieces and basically just slamming them together to make them all work together. And so that ends up with a very poor architecture for your game, and I can't take that current state, that current code base of the game, and build a full functioning game on top of it, because it's just going to lead to a lot of bugs. I'm going to waste a ton of time, and it's just going to blow up my scope. So the proper thing to do is to sit down and actually learn proper Unity architecture. So that's what I've been doing this week, and I've watched a few talks and checked out a few different patterns for architecture in Unity, but there is one thing that I really latched onto and I think really makes sense for me to implement when it comes to properly building my game, and that is scriptable objects. So scriptable objects are a class in Unity that allow you to basically almost act as a container for both data and functionality that you can separate out from your mono behavior components. So I feel like this usage of scriptable objects makes sense for my game. My game's not going to be crazy huge, and yeah, I think it makes sense, so I'm going to go that way. I watched 2 really cool talks on scriptable objects this week, and I will link those in the description below. The first one is a video by Richard Fine, who is an engineer on the Unity team itself, and he gave a really great talk at Unite 2016, I believe it was. And the other one is Ryan Hipple, also gave a talk on scriptable objects, and Ryan is an engineer at Shell Games. So this week coming up, I hope to really start spending some time actually starting to refactor the code of my game to utilize scriptable objects. And yeah, I hope to get the game in a solid place so that I can continue to build on it moving forward. All right, so that about does it for today's video. One of the big things that I still have to figure out for my game is actually coming up with a name for it. So I have some ideas kicking around in my head, but I'd be super interested to hear any suggestions you guys have in the comments section below. And if you like this video, remember to hit the thumbs up button and give us a subscribe. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Google search or something, you're like, no, can't use that. It's, you know, some paper trading company or paper trading company. Is blip that I've always known about for blah blah blah.